Hello, my name is Pig of Mustache. Well, not really, because today I'm gonna be your guide. And Pig of Mustache is not a very reliable name for a guide, is it? We are all a bit sad with how FM26 turned out. Chances are that you probably stopped playing or went back to FM24 or some older game, or worse, you stopped playing football games altogether. In my case, all the images that I'm gonna use for this video are from FM24 because I cannot even get FM26 to work. So I figured we all need something to entertain ourselves, and I hope this video brings new information to you. And I even got a mod that I made just for this game, but I'll talk more about it at the end of the video. And to be very clear to my audience, I made two restraints for this video. The first one is that I'm focusing on the league format itself, and not on how strong the league is. Mostly. There is one exception, but I'm gonna leave that for later. That is because the goal for this video is to look for counters that can keep you on your toes, where your team can be so much better than anyone else and still be one slip up away from losing the title. And also, I believe most of us have tried to play in a country with a weaker league to make them stronger, but after a while, the league just becomes an afterthought. And yes, while you can definitely have a very good time playing the Premier League or in Bundesliga because of the quality of the teams, or in Brazil if you don't mind to crawl through the season, they can also become repetitive after some time, with you facing the same teams over and over and over again, and every season starts to feel the same. So instead, I'm looking for something that can keep things fresh and fun. The second restraint is that I limited my list to only the top level leagues, or else it would take too much time to research for this video, and I already take too much time to make my own videos. Our first league is from Uruguay. Their format is not too complicated. It all begins with the Apertura, or opening, where every team has to face each other for a total of 15 matches, and whoever finishes first wins the Apertura and qualifies for the final. The interesting aspect of this format is that because the league is shorter, there's more room for upsets, or simply a team in good form taking the trophy, like when Rentistas won the Apertura in 2020. After the Apertura, there is the Clausura, or closing. Easy to remember the names, right? The Clausura is the same as the Apertura, but the locations are switched. Everyone you played at home before, now you have to play them away, which can make things easier or more difficult depending on your situation. The winner from Clausura faces the winner from Apertura in the final, and the victor from that game gets crowned national champions, right? Wrong. There is an extra spot that goes for the team that had the best campaign but did not win any of the leagues. Oh yeah, there's also the Intermedio, which is like a league cup of sorts, but their matches also count for the final table, so you may want to win there as well. And the reason it's also complicated, their format is not too complicated. Okay, maybe I lied before, but the reason it's complicated is the same reason it makes the league fun. Because it's much easier for the big dogs to lose, so they made it that way to help them. What I don't like about this format is that you have to play so many games against the same teams. I didn't even mention Copa Uruguay. If you do choose to play here, you're going to play 40 something games against the same 15 opponents. It does make the world seem very small, which, in Uruguay's defense, yeah, that's just how it is. Maybe you are not expecting this one, but San Marino's league is quite interesting. There are 16 teams who play each other twice. Alright, that's normal, but because of their low rankings in the coefficients, San Marino can only put one team in the Champions League and two more in the Conference League. And the way they decide to give those spots is the fun part. They made the Conference League playoff, where the second place to the 10th place face themselves in a knockout competition where the winner qualifies to the European competitions. So even if you don't win the league, there is still something that you can play for. The issue is, it's San Marino, so it doesn't take long for you to win the league with your youth team. But what happens if San Marino advances in the rankings and gain more spots? Does the game account for that and changes the playoffs or something? I think probably not. But who knows, it may be worth a shot to play yourself to try it. In 80th place we have these countries, and maybe a few more, as long as they have a similar format. They work just like Uruguay with an apertura and a clausura, but they have a couple of advantages. The first one is that they don't have an equivalent to the intermedio. The second one is that at the end of each stage, the best 8 teams play in another stage to see who is going to be the champion and who is going to get some of those sweet continental spots. To me, that's an advantage because it means you're gonna have stronger opponents if you want to win the league, or in case you're not the strongest, which would make sense because they're from Bolivia, you can clinch your title with some lucky results. Now we reach a format that I assume more people are used to, the league split, which is when a league is split into 2 groups after every team plays each other twice, or once, or 3 times. In one group, the teams play each other aiming to win the title, and the other group, they play to settle who is going to get relegated. In a competitive league, it means a free-for-all between all the contenders, or maybe a bloodbath for the desperate. In a non-competitive league, it's just a waste of time. Mexico is another one of those cases where the league is probably very fun to play for a couple of years before it becomes repetitive, especially since there's no relegation. But Mexico has an apertura and clausura system that feels more special than the other countries mentioned so far. Not only the league is overall stronger and closer in quality, but they have playoffs where any team from the top 10 still gets a shot at winning the trophy, meaning that the only moment you can feel safe is when it's over. It also makes it possible for a mid-table team to get a miracle run, like America did last year, after beating 4 opponents despite having the disadvantage of finishing 7th in the league. But I guess America winning the league is not a miracle run, but still, they finished 7th. This is another version of the league split. It's basically the same thing as the number 7 of this list, but with a bonus that I believe gives it an edge, the European playoff, where even if we drop to the relegation group, we still get a chance to qualify for the Conference League, playing against some of the teams that did not perform very well in the fight for the championship. And hilariously, to me at least, we saw it happening last year in Northern Ireland where 7th place Cliftonville clinched an European spot against all the odds. This one may surprise even someone who knows about the league itself, but I found Albania to be super interesting. It has only 10 teams who have to play each other 4 times, which does sound very annoying to me, but at the end of those 10, 2 are relegated to the 2nd division, another one goes to relegation playoffs versus one team from the 2nd division, and the top 4 battle it out at the final 4 round, meaning that most of the league will very likely still have something to play for at the end of the season, especially if you consider how balanced the league is. Like in the previous season where Lachi, who was playing the Conference League 2 seasons earlier, was relegated in last place with 37 points. You can't even get relegated in the Premier League with 37 points anymore. From now on, we are getting into the danger zone, where those leagues have a format that pretty much guarantees some balls to the walls fun. Balls to the walls. What the hell does that sentence even mean? And why does it mean that? Anyway, not only do they have a very interesting format, but the quality of the league means that things will hardly become stale. It's basically a more advanced version of the league split. Using Belgium as an example, the league, instead of being split in 2 groups, it's split in 3. The first one is for the teams aiming to win the trophy. The second one plays for a possible European spot. I mean possible because you can still lose it, while Ecuador, for example, has a better variation of that where they play for 2 guaranteed continental spots. And finally, the last group has to play against relegation. In Belgium, there's even a 3rd club that goes to relegation playoffs, but judging how the last one went, it seems unlikely that they could actually lose there. I guess it was expected that I would put them in this video, since I did put them in 2 other videos, which you could watch them, but wow, I do repeat my talking points a lot. So I'm gonna be brief this time. When you play in the United States, do you even know what's going on? No, you don't, and that's what makes it so terrifying and exciting. Oh, you signed the player you want? Good, but can you register them? No? Oh, is it because of some dumb rule that limits the number of foreign players in some circumstances but not in others? Oh, but then why can Inter Miami break those rules? And then you have to learn about some game mechanic that only exists there. And in a game like Football Manager, where it's mostly the same every single year, isn't it good that there is a place that can still give a new kind of challenge after all those years? That's why I put them here. As for the format itself, it's basically a simpler version of Mexico because it only happens once a year. They don't have the clausura, and I'm not gonna explain how it works because I don't know. Would you want me to lie to you? They also do not have relegation. But with the size of the country, I can actually understand. With all the traveling they have to do, relegation could break the momentum for any growing fan base. It's what happened in Brazil in the 80s when they introduced relegation, so it may be good for the United States to avoid that for a while. If you wondered why the United States was in second place, then you may know this is the only possible answer. Argentina has the most insane format because nobody knows what's going on. They can have several champions in the same year, but that is a thing that happens in other places too. So what? But in Argentina, it's different. You can sleep with your country having 16 different champions that year and then wake up the next morning with 17 new champions. It's what actually happened last year when the FA invented a new title overnight for the best team to have not won anything. But why did they do that? Because Di Maria asked it to. That's probably not the actual reason, but the true reason likely doesn't make any more sense anyway. Here's the problem. That's not in the game. In Football Manager, Argentina actually has a stable league that is the same every single year, and we can't have it like that. So I made a mod, yeah, that's the entire reason I made this video, where the Argentine League format changes every year. There is even a special format for the World Cup and a format that they have never done before, but who knows, maybe they watch this video and decide to do it because of me, in which case, I'm sorry Argentina.